Okay, Bolador, I'm probably going to forget your name in just a minute because that's a strange name. I'm going to try to make a tutorial for you, and I have not been feeling well for uh, 10 days, so hopefully I sound coherent and don't slur my words, and hopefully I make sense, and hopefully this goes pretty smooth. Alright, this is After Effects, and this is going to be a pretty long and detailed tutorial, so try to stick with it. I'm going to show you basically two things. How to track an object, which means how it will follow the head, how your template will follow the head that's in the video. And I'm also going to show you masking. And what I'm going to show you is very important. It's probably the most important thing, and nobody ever showed this to me, and it took me quite a while to get down. And I wish somebody would have showed this to me when I started, because this is going to be really valuable information. So I'm going to go to, this is I use a thing called Internet Download Manager, and this is what I want to use, which will be the Matrix Neo versus Mr. Smith, and I'm going to drag and drop it into the project box. And it took a second because probably my hard drive fell asleep. Now, when you drag and drop something into the project box, you have to make sure it's active. So up here you have the project box, and I'm not even sure if that's the name of this thing. That's just what I'm going to call it. It's probably called something else. You also have your tools, which your pointer, your hand tool, zoom, pen, text, etc. And you also have effects, which we'll get into later. So when you drag and drop something into here, make sure project is active. If I had tools and I tried to drag it into there, it wouldn't have worked. So make sure project. You can also do file, import, and import file. You can do it that way. Now, in order to make a composition, there's many ways to do that. File, new project, but the easiest way is just to take this and drag it down to this icon, which is called the Create New Composition icon. So just drag that down there, and it will make a new composition. It'll give you the proper length, the proper frame rate, and everything. And these are your layers in your video timeline. And this is about a 4.5, 5-minute segment. And I think the segment I want to use is around yeah, there it is, around 246 or so, I think it is. Okay, so we want to do this segment where he's just wiping. It's really fast. He's just wiping. Neo is just wiping his lip. So you can't really see where it starts and stops, so you have to zoom in. And this is your zoom in, this large mountain, and this is your zoom out. You could also use this slider to zoom in and out. So you want to zoom in until we can see. Now we're seeing seconds, 30 to 35 seconds, but we want to zoom in to where we can see frames. And there we go. Now we're seeing frames. These are individual frames. And we're going to be starting right there on that frame. See, if we go to the left, we have Mr. Smith, and now we have Neo. So that's our start frame. Now, probably a lot of the things you're working on will already be pre-cropped, because you may find GIFs or videos or something. But this video obviously is not cropped in the segment that I want to use. So now, once we found the start frame, we're going to zoom out until we see these blue bars on the side. These blue bars. These are your work area start. Okay? This is start and this is stop. So you want to drag this, and then after you start dragging, press Shift and it'll snap. See, it snaps to the beginning. Now we have to do the same thing. We're going to zoom in and find the end. So it's somewhere around there. and we'll zoom in till we see frames, and there's the end on 20. So now we do the same thing. We zoom out until we see the blue bars on the side, the work area thingies. I may say thingies because I don't know the names of everything. And then you start drag. Oops, hang on. I'm going to undo that. Make sure you click off and then start dragging and then shift, and it'll snap. So now we have our work area selected, and what we want to do is go to composition and trim comp to work area. Let me go over that again. Basically, we did our start time with the work area things and our end time, and we're going to composition and trim comp to work area. Okay, so now what that does, I'm pressing the home button. The home button will bring it to the beginning, and this will be our segment. Oh, let me turn the sound off. Actually, yeah, to turn the sound off, you just click this speaker. Now we won't have sound. And this is the segment. I think it's around 2 seconds, something like that. And that's the whole thing. I want to do something simple, but it's actually kind of complex, but simple. And I think it's a pretty good example of what to do, because you see his head is moving, and there's a lot more movement than it looks. There's angle turns, and there's actually a small bit of, since his head is like towards us, and now he moves it away from us. In other words, he's moving it towards the stairs. There's a small size change. So we do have quite a bit of things we're going to cover. So what we're going to do is we're going to track the head, and we're going to have to put this arm or hand over his face. So we're covering tracking of the head and masking of the arm over his head. Now, I already have a head pre-made. I brought it into Photoshop, and let me see if I can do this. What the hell's going on? There we go. And I brought this Cormier head into a frame grab. I use this thing called Media Player Classic. It's called, the program name is MPC, and for whatever reason it has -HC. And you can do, you can go to a frame, this frame, and you can go File, Save Image, and you can save the image. And I tend to do my my color and light in Photoshop onto the head in Photoshop, and then bring it in to AE. Although sometimes if it's like really simple stuff, I'll just do it all in AE. So here we have Cormier on top of Neo, and this had a lot of, let me get a pointer tool, this had a lot of highlights that I didn't like, and I didn't do a great job on this because I just didn't, and I just wanted to get close. And this frame right here is some cloning that I did to get rid of the highlights, the extreme highlights. I didn't, hang on, let me turn this inner shadow off first of all. As you can see, there's a lot of extreme highlights, specular highlights and things. I didn't like that, so I cloned them out and put some lighting. This is just brushing. I normally don't brush like this. I did this all super fast in like 2 minutes. And then I put an inner shadow, because as you can see, Neo had a lot of dark shadows here going up into the hair, and then more light on this side. There's not an extreme light source on this side, but there is lighting. So I did that to Cormier, and I did curves, which I didn't like how it come out, and I'm just too lazy to fix it. I think it made the whites too white, and then I did just a hue saturation. And that was my photoshopping on Cormier. Okay, that was a lot of waste of time. So anyway, I'm going to bring Cormier. What you do is you drag him. This is the easiest way. You drag him, and you can't see it, but I'm dragging it to the After Effects tab, and I drop him into there. You could also have done File, Import, and imported the file, but that's the way I do it. Now we have to drag Cormier on top of Neo. So now we have Cormier, we have the Matrix video, and Cormier on top of him. And we're going to do just some basic resizing. And you can do that by dragging a corner and holding Shift. And as you see, this is going to be a little difficult at this point because his chin is hidden. So we're going to have to eyeball it. And maybe that's too big. I don't know. I'm eyeballing this. I'm holding Shift. Because if you don't hold Shift, it goes like that. So let me see. I think that size looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have him resize. And another way to resize is on the Cormier PNG layer, click this arrow, and that'll give you all your transformations for him. And you can scale him up and down from here. I'm pressing Control Z, or you could type in 104 or whatever size you want. You can also do rotations here. And positional data is his position on the screen. So at this point, what I like to do is scrub all of these and make my start keyframes, just so he's anchored there. So like I said, I just scrubbed these things. Oops, I don't know why the hell. I know why, but anyway, scrub all of those, and now we have Cormier set up. Sorry about that. I hit my microphone. Okay, now what we want to do in order to track him is we're going to have to track the position and size of Neo's head, and we're going to do that in what's it called? Mocha. It's called something else, Mocha. I can't believe I forgot the name. Something Mocha. I got memory issues, so bear with me. Okay, so we're going to make sure we're at the start frame. I mean, you don't have to always do this at the start frame. Sometimes you'll work from the end and back. But on this one, we're going to start at the beginning. And we're going to make sure that the Matrix MP4 video is active because we're tracking Neo's head. And we go to Animation and Boris FX Mocha. Okay, Mocha. Just call it Mocha. So, Animation, track in Boris Mocha. And it brings up this little box. And these are now, let's just leave this as it is for now. We're going to double click on Mocha, or you might single click, and it opens Mocha. Sometimes they put little advertisements saying buy this, buy that, and you got to close it. I never registered my Mocha, so sometimes they come up, sometimes they don't. Now we got, this is our timeline for our tracking down here. We're going to start at the beginning, and we use this thing called X-splines. And we're going to do a simple X-spline on this, and we're not going to track like his mouth, because you see the hand covers it, and that'll screw up the tracking data. So we're going to go basically like his hair and maybe part of his ear and to about here on his nose, because if we go lower on his nose, that shadowing may affect our tracking. So we're just going to do something simple. We're going to start here, 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 and here. And now we have this leftover thing. Right click and that ends it. And you can make adjustments on that if you want. Say you want this higher or lower or whatever. Okay, so there's our X-splines for tracking. And we're going to track the transformations, which means the movement, where he moves, the scale, if it gets bigger or smaller, and rotation. We're not going to do skew for this, so we're going to take off skew. And we press this T to start the tracking, and we cross our fingers and hope it goes well. And oh my God, that looks perfect. That looked really good. I'm really happy. I'm really stoked that that I didn't have problems and this is going to look good. So as you can see, this box just tracks them. Now we have to save this tracking data, and there's a few ways to do it. Right now, if I closed it, a dialog box would pop up and say, "You sure you want to close it?" And you would say yes. That's one way to do it. You can also press this button, Save the Project. Now when you do that, nothing happens, but actually something does. If you watch right up here, it says something like auto saving. I'm going to click it a bunch of times. Auto saving project. Okay, that's, make sure you, I always look when I click it, make sure that it does that. You can also go File, Save. I generally just click that, and sometimes I click it a couple times just to make sure. Now we're done with our tracking. We're going to close Mocha. Now all of the tracking data is on this video file. This is all your tracking data. I hope so. I hope it's there. Well, okay, whatever. Just ignore what I said. Now what we have to do is make one more layer, and I should have done this ahead of time. It's called a null object layer. So you go Layer, New, Null Object. And this null object is going to contain the tracking data from here. This tracking data from Mocha is going to go to the null, and we're going to apply it to the Cormier head. This all sounds probably really foreign. Once you've done it a few times, it'll really come natural. Don't freak out. Please don't freak out. Just watch and listen. Okay, so now we click back on the matrix layer, and we make sure that we have Mocha open. We're going to go to our tracking data, and we're going to create the tracking data. That seems really stupid. I don't know why you have to do that. Well, I mean, there is reasons. I know the reasons, but it just seems really redundant. And this is our tracking data right here, so you have to click that. Okay, so create tracking data, make sure that's selected. Okay, now we have our tracking data. We're going to export it to, we're going to export it to the null. There it is. Okay, we're exporting to the null, and we're going to use transformations. Okay, so we create tracking data, make sure it's exported to the null, and that is transformations, and we're going to apply it. So now all that tracking data is applied to this null object. There it all is. So it has all of these are keyframes that have your position, your scale, and your rotation. What's the rotation? Down here, this one. See, there's very minor rotations that are happening, and very minor size changes, and pretty radical positional changes, because it's going from here to here, and it actually goes up, and then he goes like to the right. So it goes to the left and to the right. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the tracking data. So now we have the tracking data on the null object, and to get it onto Cormier, you take this thing, and I could never say it, pick whip. We take the pick whip. It's also called, this technique is called parenting. We take the pick whip and we parent Cormier to the null. So now Cormier has the tracking data, and we're going to turn him on. Alright, now let's play this thing. And to play, you press spacebar. And voila. Okay, I see some very minor thing. This looks pretty good, his position. I mean, we're going to kind of key off the hair, off Neo's hair, make sure the hair is covered. But once he comes up, I can see Neo's chin. Not a big deal. This is super easy, super easy. What we're going to do is go to Cormier, and remember we have our keyframes on the first frame. We're going to go to about there, and I'm using my arrow keys. We're going to pull them down some, and let's see if that does that. And as you see, it makes a new positional keyframe when I moved him on that frame. Wonderful. This is wonderful. Okay, let's play that. Perfect. Perfect tracking. Well, I can't say perfect because I don't know, but it looks perfect to me. It looks really good. Let's actually bring him down just a little bit more. Let's key off of his hair instead. There we go. Okay, let's play that again. Wonderful. Sometimes you get really poor tracking data, and you may have to make a lot of adjustments. I don't know how many frames there are. There's like 50. You might have to make 10 or 20 or 30. But we got lucky, and we had to make just one adjustment. Okay, so now we got Cormier. Oh, I almost feel like taking a break. We're going to have to get this hand on top of Cormier. See how it's underneath him? So the way I like to do tracking data is make a copy. I don't like to track the person. Mask the person. I like to mask the video on top of Cormier. So I'm going to make a copy of the video and put it on top of Cormier. And the reason I like to do that is because, let's just say I had to use 2 Cormier heads in this scene. Well, I don't want to mask him twice, so I can just mask the video once. So in order to make a copy, you can Control-C, Control-V. The easiest way is Control-D, as in dog, and that makes another layer. And if you want to, you can name these layers something. So I'm going to right-click, rename. I'm pressing my home button, and I'm just going to put mask. This way, I know that this is the masking layer, because sometimes you may have 10, 20, 30, 40 layers, and you're like, oh, what is this layer? And you know it's the masking layer. And you can do the same for these nulls. You can put for core, or corm for corm. There we go. I'll get it right. So you know that this null object is for Cormier. And if you have many Cormiers, you can say for Cormier 1, Cormier 2, or you can get your own naming convention if you want to start renaming these. Most of the time I don't. Hang on, I gotta get a drink. Oh, this is getting really long, but we're making a lot of progress. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to go to about there, and let me zoom in. So that'll be 44 seconds and 6 frames. That's how you read this. This is 44 seconds and 1 frame. So at about 44 seconds and 6 frames, we're going to stop the masking. Okay, now to mask, what you want to do is put a layer, a new layer, layer, new layer, and a solid layer. And this is just going to put a solid color layer on top, and we're going to do the masking on the solid color layer. And the color for this doesn't matter. It could be any color, because we're going to make it invisible anyway. We're going to turn it off. So let me do that again. Let me cancel. Layer, new layer. I got my mouse sensitivity up really high. Solid. And we're going to press OK. So there's our solid layer on top of the masking layer. And we could rename that too if you want. And we're going to turn that off. and we're going to turn off Cormier PNG. Okay, now what we want to do on this solid layer is every frame up until wherever it was, about to there, we're going to have to trace around his hand to about here. Okay, now in order to do that, we have to go to our tools. Remember, we have project, tools, and effects. So we go to our tools and we grab our pen tool. Now, I really hope you've used a pen tool before, because it's kind of funky using a pen tool. And like I said, we're going to go from about here, and I'm looking for curves, and it's really hard to see right here. So we're going to go to there, to his shirt, and I can see a little bit of a curve there. So we're going to go to about there and there, and this will all make sense in just a minute. These are going to be, I'm going to curve these lines to cover the finger, and I'm going to curve that in just a second. I'm just making the rough outline, and I've done fingers before, so I know my pattern. And you can do this however you want. You can get your own technique for doing this. And I guess that's his pinky. And there we go. Now we have our basic outline. What you want to do in order to make curves is you press your Alt key and you drag. Okay, let me undo that. This is kind of weird because sometimes you drag the wrong way, and you just got to figure this out. You know, it'll take some practice to figure it out. Now we have these nodes, and we can make curves, and we can do a curve here. See, I went the wrong way, and that's okay. You just fix it, make a curve, and we can zoom in a little. To zoom in, I'm using my mid mouse button. You can also use Control plus or minus. This is just like Photoshop. Now we trace around this finger, and we trace around this finger, and that looks okay. And you can move these nodes by, when you put your mouse over them, they become that pointer. You could just move these nodes around. So here we go. This is the hardest frame. Getting it started is the hardest frame. So still doing it, still getting my basic shape of the hand. And I don't know if you can see it, but this is his shirt. So we have to do a curve like that. And this, we're just going to smooth this off so you don't have a sharp edge. Okay, so basically we have a mask on the solid color for our first frame. We're going to do this. Click this down arrow, and we're going to go to the mask, and this is our mask. Our mask is pink, and that's a good color. Double click it, and you can change it to whatever color. You can make it green, blue. I kind of like that color. It's contrasts the green, so you can change the color of the mask. And we're going to click this to get our mask things. I forgot. And we're going to do what's called a scrub. And this will get our keyframes going on the first one. And I'm going to work with, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a 4 pixel feather. You'll have to figure feathering out. You generally should use feathering. Sometimes you might use something really radical, like if there's a lot of blur, you're going to have a really good feather. Okay, so now we're going to look for what are called tweens. Watch the movement of his hand. Okay, to about here, it's moving pretty much in one direction, right about there actually. So we're going to double click the mask, and bring it up there, and we can rotate it into position. And as you see, it no longer matches, and that's okay. What you want to do is when the arrow pointer turns into that, just go like that, and that'll activate these nodes, and we can start pulling them into position. And this is going to get a little tedious, and I'm probably going to start moving a lot faster soon. I'm going super slow right now. I probably would have been done already. But we're gonna it looks like his thumb is coming out. Okay, that thumb wasn't there. Now this line, this node doesn't have the handles, so we go back to the pen tool, Alt and drag, and now we have the nodes. That's how to add nodes, and we could probably add nodes here too. Okay, hit my mouse, my mic again. Sorry about that. I'm wiggling around a bit. And now, what's going on with this one? This looks really funky. Okay, so now we have a tween, but I seriously doubt it's going to be totally smooth. And we have some double frames. So we'll just have to work this out. We'll go to there and double click, bring it up, wiggle these things around. Oops. Make sure to grab the nodes. And grab that one. And you can get in there and maybe make more nodes right here. Let's just say if we wanted to, we could add a node right there, and oops. We can add a node right there if you want. So you can add nodes. And like right here, this is pretty good. You want to make a minor adjustment there and a minor adjustment there. And there's our double frame. So what you want to do is click on this keyframe, Control C for copy, or you can go edit, oops. You can go edit, copy. I'm going too fast. Okay, so now we have this selected, Control C and Control V. And let me adjust this over some. And we'll go to about there, and we'll make some more adjustments. I'm kind of glad I picked this one because it really is easy, but it's a little bit tedious also. And now you see here, it gets really off, so we're going to have to drag everything down. And you know, I'm not going to worry too much about here because at this point Cormier won't be down there anyway. Okay, now we got triple frame. Control C, and we can go to there, Control V, and that covers that. Okay, we got some good masking going. And that really, once you get going, that would have been a minute. And I don't know how long it took me, probably 5 minutes, just because I'm showing you. And we try to get another tween right about there. And oh boy, we're going to have to make some radical adjustments here. I'm going to start going a little bit faster. And, you know, however accurate you want to be, you'd be surprised on how inaccurate you can be. But then again, whenever you're inaccurate, it's going to look like shit. So you got to just kind of find the sweet spot. I'm not going to worry about that. There we go. I'm worried more about in here now. And there we go. Let's make some adjustments here. and then there. Okay, we'll do that frame by frame. Okay, there, we got a double frame right there. Control C, Control V. That looks terrible right there. Let's adjust that out. And you know, if I was working like on my own, I could have done this like super fast. But I'm showing you, and I have to think. I have to think and explain, and that slows me down. So I normally just do this. So it will be a lot faster once you get doing this. You're gonna get a lot faster, and it's gonna be a lot easier. Right now, you're probably going, "What the hell? What the hell? Nodes and pen tools and masking and null objects." But it'll all make sense once you've done it. So just don't give up. Don't give up. Don't look at this and say, "Oh my God." I mean, well, that's what I did actually when I first started. But I didn't give up. I kept going. Control C. Every minute of everything I did when I first started, I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell? How the hell? Layer masks and null objects and tracking data." But now it's all really natural for me. A little bit of fumble fingers today. My vision is a little bit blurry. So, oops. I accidentally clicked on the, I don't know if you saw that or not. I accidentally clicked on the video layer and moved it. So I'm going to press Control Z. Watch the video layer. Okay, so you got to be careful of stuff like that. Most of the time when I'm working with a video layer, you can lock it. Okay, press that to lock it. So that doesn't happen. Now those types of mistakes can't happen. And now we're getting close to the end. This may be the end. I think that is the end frame. Let's see. Okay, so now we got our masking, tracking. We're pretty much done, bro. Okay, so there's our end frame, and we're gonna do this. I'm zooming out with my mid mouse button. Double click and whip that off the screen. Okay, so now we have all of these keyframes that we had to make, but we got lucky because we were able to really, truly skip some, and some of them we had to make minor adjustments. We have to get this mask applied to the masking layer of the video, and to do that, you go to Track Matte, and go Alpha. Okay, so now we turn Cormier on, and you're going to see the hand go over. And we're pretty much done, bro. So let's see this GIF. I gotta get another drink, hang on. And I don't know how long this video was. It seems like it was a really long time. Let me see if I can bring up my recording software. 38 minutes so far. I could have done this all in like 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes. And now I'm seeing some very minor errors, and we can fix them. In the mask I saw a couple fluctuations, or was that his lips? Yeah, right there. Well, I shouldn't really get into that because no, it's okay. It's okay. And right here, we see this white. That shouldn't be there. So you can adjust that out. Like, you see that white is showing? We can pull the mask down. And I think it showed in another frame too. There we go. So if you want to, you can get in here and make these masks as nice as you want. Generally, Nobody's going to notice that, but I do. Oops, there's another one. And actually this Control C, Control V, we can just paste that there. So yeah, we can check out our mask. It looks good. Cormier's movements are good. We do have a, wait, I think I saw a glitch. Yeah, right there. You could fix that if you want. I wouldn't worry about that. I don't even know if you saw that. I don't know if I could find it again. Yeah, these are double frames where he's moving. If you want, you can get in there and steady that out. I don't know. I probably would. Alright, let's look at it. So there he is. And now we have Cormier, color corrected, moving, resizing, rotating, and we have the hand masked over. So, wow, that was an adventure. Anyway, we're almost done. We're almost done. Now you have to export it, okay? Actually, I should have saved this. I should have saved this long ago. That's very poor form. Cormier matrix tutorial. Don't do what I just did. And I'm going to save this in my NGS6. Cormier matrix tutorial. Don't do that. You should save every 5 minutes or whatever. Because if something happened, the power would have gone out, or God forbid the computer crashes, or whatever. You want to save. You want to save every few minutes. And somewhere in your settings, in preferences, is autosave. And I think I have mine set up for 10 minutes. So actually, there probably is some autosaves. But I'm not sure if it autosaves if you don't save or not. So yeah, make sure you save. Now we have, let's go over this. We have our video layer, which is our background layer. I'm going to take the locking off. That's our video layer. We have Cormier. We have the null object, which contains the tracking data for Cormier. We have the video layer that creates the mask, and we have the solid layer, which contains the actual masking. So all of this looks complicated, but like I said, this would have been a few minutes. And if you did this in Photoshop, oh my God, that would have taken longer than this tutorial. Maybe twice as long. I don't know. Well, an hour. Probably an hour on Photoshop. It would have taken quite a while to do. Okay, so now we go File, Export, and Add to Render Queue. This is how you export the video. Add to Render Queue. Okay, these are your render settings. I don't want to get into render settings, but let me just have a look and see if there's anything you should know. I guess you could pick quality if you want, but generally speaking, you're not going to ever mess with this. Well, I can't say ever. Generally, you're not going to mess with this. This is your output module. Okay, sounds fancy, but this just means the type of video, the codec and stuff. So we can click on that, and these are all your codecs. Now, actually, not all codecs. Just back up that a little bit. These are all your formats in codecs that you can output to. You can output to AVI. Now, if you have DivX or H.264, H.265, you can go into format options, and you could use XVID, or you could use other AVI is a container. Oh boy, now I'm getting too much into video codecs. But if you had XVID, you can get into there. You can get into different types of AVI formats. I generally will just use QuickTime. Okay, now if you go into the format options of QuickTime, I use animation. Sometimes I have used GoPro, but I just use animation. That's the one most people use. And if you want to, you can get into the settings and you can get into tweaking. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna just stop there. If you want to tweak your codec, you're gonna have to do that yourself. I just use kind of like, it's not really defaults, but I've tweaked it a little bit and I've kept it that way. Once I make a move file, a QuickTime file, I delete it anyway. So it doesn't matter if this thing's 5 gigabytes or 500 kilobytes. Okay, so I said too much. There we go, QuickTime. If you want to output to JPEG, MP3, Photoshop, blah, 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 whatever. Oops, I messed up. Let's click back here. Let's select QuickTime and press OK. I could have just said that, but I got a little too much into the output modules. And then here's your name. And we're going to output it to, oh God, Cormier Matrix Tutorial Sample. You can call it whatever you want. Save, and then render. Now, there may be a loud sound here because it plays a loud sound. I've never figured out how to turn it down. So once you press render, some of these things can take quite a while to render. This won't take quite a while because it's very easy. If you have a lot of things going on, it could take, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds for every second, something like that. But this is 2 seconds, so it should take not even 2 seconds. I'm going to press render. Oh, there we go. Okay, and there's that killer loud sound. Now we go into Photoshop, and you go File, Import. I tend to work with frame animation when saving a GIF. Okay, when making a GIF, I use video timeline, and I'll show you why in just a second. File, Import video frames to layers. We're not going to import it as regular video, which is done by a different way. We're going to import it to video frames. And Cormier Matrix Tutorial Sample, open. And here you can do frame rates. I'm sorry, you can do frame rates, not frame rates, but amount of frames. Let's say you have too many frames. You could have it do every other frame, every third frame. You can cut down the size, but we're not going to do that. And you can also crop the range. Let's say you want it to start from here to here. You can do that here, but we're not going to get into that. We're just going to import the whole thing. And I'm going to crop it because I want to get rid of that black stuff. And I'm zooming all the way in. And this is how I crop. Where the hell's my rulers? Rulers. Make sure rulers is turned on. And once you have rulers, you can do guidelines and bring that down to where it the video starts. And we'll do the same thing down here. Whoops, went too far. Zoom all the way in. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to do crop, and it should snap to that. And I don't know, if you wanted to, just if you wanted to, you could crop it there. It's almost better to do this type of width cropping in AE. That way you can keep them centered. But I'm just showing you that you can. And let's just pull it out to there. Now basically I just wanted to crop it vertically to get rid of that black, but I just wanted to show you also a horizontal crop. And my Photoshop, for whatever reason, plays slow. Sometimes if you hit tab, nope, it just plays slow. Alright, see how he goes a little to the left? I may want to have my cropping a little bit like that. But anyway, this is not a cropping tutorial. This is not a cropping tutorial. And I'm going to go to, actually, I'm assuming you know how to export GIFs. Maybe I'll go through that just a little bit. But first, before I do that, I want to resize this, because once I resize it, it'll make exporting it easy. And we go image size, and wow, that's pretty big. I guess I used a high resolution video. We're going to make it, I don't know, 450 wide. Okay, so we go File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. And yeah, I'm getting really detailed with this tutorial, aren't I? And generally, I'll use selective or adaptive palettes. What we're looking at, watch, this is the input. So this is video, and this is output. You see the video, it's a little bit smoother, and let me see if I can get a, I'm not sure if there's a pointer. Yeah, there's a pointer. You see in here how smooth it is, and in here how GIF makes it all really yucky and dotty, and what's the word? I can't think of the word. It's called dithered. This is all dithered. But that's GIF. And you can see his shirt has like a pattern on it, and it's just gross. It's gross. So you have adapt. Let's watch like his forehead and the size. This is 1.96. Let's go to selective, and selective is smaller. So let's, when you change palettes, you also want to make sure that it doesn't look too ugly. So you have to change back and forth. And really, it's not much of a difference. Actually, it is. It is. It's a big difference. We may want to go back to selective. Watch his shirt. See how dotty it is? And watch when I go to selective, it becomes a lot smoother. So we're going to pick selective. Oh, that's crazy. Selective is actually smaller, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool. So now we got selective. Selective to me looks better. Maybe not to you. You'll have to figure it out. And we have a diffusion dither. This is a pattern dither. Pattern makes it smaller. That's cool. And noise. Okay. Noise looks pretty good. Sorry, getting another drink. It's hot. Diffusion. I'm looking right here. Diffusion. Pattern. I never use pattern. And noise. I like the way noise looks. I think that looks good. So generally, those are the things that I change: is selective or adaptive, and pattern, diffusion, or noise. Yeah. So we'll save 1.39. That's pretty good. We'll save it as Cormier Matrix tutorial. And I want to save it in my NGS6. There we go, and we're all done. Now, to preview them, most people will upload it to the internet, but you don't have to. Let me refresh so that it shows up. There it is right here. Take it, drag it to your browser, and there's your preview. I tend to preview them in a browser because this is how it's going to look with the browser's palette. And remember all that crap we saw in the GIF, how kind of ugly? It looks okay. I mean, I could see it. I could see like a bunch of crap in here, a bunch of crap in here, but this GIF looks really nice. Is what I'm saying. The settings we had are good. He's smooth. I'm pretty pleased. Okay, that was a good tutorial, and damn, 54 minutes. That's the longest one I ever did. But I showed you, from the beginning to the end, and I don't know, with me doing the photoshopping, the GIFing, exporting, importing back to Photoshop, it probably would have taken me 15 or 20 minutes, even with uploading and posting on the SureDog. But there's one more thing. I mentioned that I wanted to show you something about why I import frames. Sometimes in a GIF, I may want to slow down a segment, or I may want to slow down this whole GIF. Let's just for whatever reason, I want to slow it down. I can grab, let's just say, all the frames. I click on the first one, and shift click on the last one, and I go here to timing, and I go to other, and I can make it 0.05. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but I'm just showing you how you can do all frames. Or let's just say I wanted the first 10 to be, let me slow down. Click, shift on the 10, click on any down arrow, it doesn't matter, it could be this one, any of these down arrows that are selected, go to other, and type in 0.0, what did I say, 0.06, I forgot. And now you see these first 10 frames are 0.06 in these, and that's why I work with frame animation, because for certain parts of a GIF that might be too fast and I want to slow it down, or if it's too slow I might want to speed it up. I'm not sure I've ever sped anything up, but I've definitely slowed things down. Makes the GIFs look longer, etc. So yeah, there we go. 56 minutes and 12 seconds, and I am out. And I know as soon as I press this button, there's going to be something I forgot. Hope this helps.